Okay, so we're going to take a look at the vocabulary. Can you still see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so these right here, these are droplets. This is one way that infection can be spread, droplets. This right here is the biohazard symbol. Right here, this is bad posture. So if you are not sitting upright or not standing up straight, bad posture, also bad body mechanics. Right here, when we sit down like this, that is a squat.
Squat.
And you can see how he's bending with his knees. That is a squat. This right here is the transfer belt or gait belt. Right here, this is called shearing. So when the skin and the body move in opposite directions, we have shearing, and shearing can lead to pressure ulcers or tearing of the skin. Here we have some pressure ulcers. Pressure ulcers. Right here, this is called a log roll. They are log rolling the person. And this is if a person has a spinal. This right here is dangle. Dangle. Dangle their feet. Before you move a resident or transfer a resident from bed, you want to let them dangle their feet. All right, normal flora. All of these are the good bugs, the good bacteria, the good microbes that live in your body. Mechanical lift. Remember that a mechanical lift, you need at least 2 people to operate mechanical lift. Okay. Now here are some definitions. So this can be a human or an animal. And we're talking about infection prevention. So we're talking about a reservoir. A reservoir is like a big lake, like Lucky Peak Reservoir. But when we talk about infection prevention, a reservoir can be the person that's holding all the germs. This word, it's also, the person is not showing symptoms, but they can transmit the disease to others. So the word that describes all of this, the vocabulary word is carrier. Just like your backpack can carry your books, a carrier can carry disease. So it can be a human or an animal. They are a reservoir of the infection. They're not showing symptoms, so they don't look sick, but they can transmit the disease to others. Okay, this is a system of the body. It protects the body from infection, and it's the immune system. The immune system protects the body from infection. Another way to say hand washing, sometimes we will say hand hygiene. Okay, microbes. So these are microbes, but antibiotics don't work. And examples are MRSA, VRE. These are bad infections that are like superbugs. So the antibiotics don't work. They are in your textbook on page 218. And we are talking about multi-drug resistant organisms. Think of MRSA, VRE. Antibiotics don't work on those. Okay, this is a microbe. It can make you sick. It's a source of infection. The word is pathogen. Pathogen. Okay, free of disease-producing microbes, or the absence of disease-producing microbes. Or we could say there are no disease-producing microbes. These are the different ways that you will see it written down.
Mm-hmm.
Sepsis
Sepsis.
means
Infection.
infection. Asepsis means no
No
infection.
infection.
So asepsis is all of these things. Free of germs, free of disease-producing microbes. Okay, free of all microbes, sterile, sterile. And remember, a CNA does not do sterile procedures.
Stereo.
All right, clean technique. You might hear this called medical asepsis. It's not as much as sterile. It's clean, but not sterile. Sterile technique, sometimes we call surgical asepsis. Think of it as when you take care of a resident, you're going to clean everything very well. But when someone does surgery, they need it even cleaner. So that would be sterile. If you go into surgery, everything is sterile.
Okay.
A government agency, it keeps workers safe. It oversees the blood-borne pathogen standards. So this is, these are some laws. And the Occupational Safety and Health Administration is sometimes called OSHA. So OSHA says that if you work in healthcare, you need to have gloves. You need to have a biohazard waste container to put dirty needles in. So they make sure you are safe when you are working. Okay, another way to say throw away is discard. Discard the needles in the sharps container. And here we go, a needle can't poke through this. That would be puncture resistant. So puncture resistant means the needle can't poke through. The needle can't go through. So think of like a really hard plastic box. And it's a sharps container. Liquids can't go through this. This means that it's leak proof. Leak proof means that liquids can't go through it. So it might be a really sturdy bag, something like that. Okay, another way to say right away. Sometimes we say at once.
At once.
Maybe ASAP, maybe stat. All different ways to say right away. So when should you report abuse? We would say at once. You should report abuse at once, or you should report abuse right away. Okay, this line is horizontal. This line is vertical. This line is reclined. So this is a reclined position. All right, now we're going to look at some different positions, different bed positions. The Fowler's position, this person is reclined at 45 to 60 degrees. Here we have the prone position. She's laying on her tummy. This is the side lying or lateral position. And this is the supine position or the dorsal recumbent position. All right, so that's some of the vocabulary. Let's look at some more of these PowerPoints. Let's see, let's take a look here. microbes and diseases. All right, this is a big one. This is a big one, so it might take a little bit of time to go through. All right, but we're going to talk about microorganisms. Okay, microorganisms, they're very small living creatures. Most of them cannot be seen without a microscope, and
Yeah.
they are also called microbes. So on page 218 in your textbook, you can see different types of microorganisms. So viruses are microorganisms, bacteria and fungi, protozoa, all of these are types of microorganisms. A microbe is a small organism. It can be bad, or it can be good. So here we have a bad microbe, and here we have an okay microbe. But microbe just means something small. Okay, a bad microbe has a name. We call a bad microbe a pathogen. So coronavirus or influenza, all of those are bad because they make you sick. Okay, so not all microorganisms are bad, but a pathogen is a microbe that is harmful and can cause infection. A non-pathogen is a microbe that does not usually cause an infection. So you have microbes all over your hands, and many of those will not make you sick. Okay. All right, so here you have infection. Infection is just a disease state resulting from the invasion and growth of microbes in the body. Sepsis means infection. Asepsis means the absence of disease-producing microbes. Medical asepsis is the practices used to reduce microbes. So here you can see that almost all of the microbes are gone, but not all of them. It only will reduce. Clean technique is the same as medical asepsis. Okay, surgical asepsis, all of the microbes are gone, so no microbes. Surgical asepsis is also called sterile technique. So on the state exam, they might say, can a CNA do sterile technique? And the answer would be no. It is outside the scope of a CNA. Okay, sterile, absence of all pathogens. Okay, disinfection, the process of killing pathogens. Communicable disease and contagious disease. Same thing. Normal flora, microbes that live and grow in a certain area. Antibiotic. Reservoir. So this is where a microbe lives and grows. This is a picture of a reservoir, like Lucky Peak Reservoir. These lungs could be a reservoir for infection. So the infection lives and grows. Okay, a carrier is a human or animal that is a reservoir, but does not develop the infection. So the mice, this mouse might make you sick, but the mouse isn't sick. Okay, communicable and contagious mean the same thing. Contamination, the process of becoming unclean. Cross-contamination, passing microbes from one person to another by contaminated hands, equipment, or supplies. This person is becoming cross-contaminated. Droplets. Infection control are the practices and procedures that prevent the spread of infection. Throw away means to discard. Biohazard waste, right here we see items that are contaminated with blood, body fluids, secretions, excretions, all go in the biohazard waste. On the test, they might ask you, where should a used razor go? A used razor should be discarded in the biohazardous waste container. Okay, this is a puncture, a hole from a sharp object. So a puncture in the tire, that's a puncture. And this container is puncture resistant. You cannot puncture this. So that is why sharp items go in the biohazard waste container. Also called a sharp.
Sharps content.
All right, here we have a leak. A leak. And this bag is leak proof. So no liquid is going to leave. Okay. Biohazard waste. Anything that is contaminated with blood, body fluids, secretions, and excretions is considered biohazardous. Immunity is how you protect against a certain disease. Examples of immunity are vaccination. So giving a vaccine to produce immunity. All right, and we're going to look at some name the vocabulary words. I'm going to show you the picture. This is a.
This is a disease.
It is a disease. And we can also call it a pathogen. Pathogen. All right, this girl has an ear
infection.
The absence of all microbes.
The absence. Microorganisms.
And if they're absent, if they're gone, sterile. Sterile. Sterile means no microbes, no germs. And if we look at the absence of disease-producing microbes, we might call it asepsis. Now here we have normal flora. So these bugs are good. They're okay. Right here, what are these right here?
That is, I know it. It's a.
Showed you. This one is
no, droplets.
Droplets. So a type of a way that infection is spread. We have cross contamination. We have hazardous waste. Also a sharps container. Communicable disease, contagious disease.
The process is also known as is it the hygiene technique?
This is hand hygiene, and we could say also known as clean technique. And this is a picture of hand hygiene, which is part of clean technique. Surgical asepsis is also known as
vaccine.
This is a vaccine, and it has to be sterile. So no microbes. A vaccine is a sterile technique, a sterile procedure. Disinfection, and there we go. All right, so let's look at one more here. Okay, this is another one that has to do with infection prevention. And I'll go through these slides here. We have infection prevention and body mechanics. Okay, in your book, chapter 16, 17, and 18. So after you watch this video or do this PowerPoint, you can go to your textbook and look at chapters 16, 17, and 18. Okay, so we have infection. We know what infection is. Okay, microorganism or microbe. They're small things. Pathogen. A pathogen causes infection.
Infection.
So for example, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, rickettsia, viruses, normal flora. These are microbes that live and grow in a certain area.
Okay.
Maybe they grow in your tummy, on your skin, but they're okay. Multi-drug resistant organisms. They resist antibiotics. So they are serious. The antibiotics won't kill these ones. Okay, so let's look at the chain of infection.
Infection.
So this is the chain of infection. First, we have the source. The source or the pathogen or infectious agent. That's the top one here in the orange. So that might be the pathogen. That might be the coronavirus. And it needs a place to grow and multiply. And that could be inside your body. So it goes inside your body and it grows and multiplies. And then it leaves your body, the portal of exit. Maybe you sneeze and the droplets leave your nose or your mouth and they travel. And that would be the mode of transmission. So they leave your body, they travel, and then there is a portal of entry. Think of a portal as like a door or a way to get through. They go into somebody else's body, and that person is the susceptible host. Okay, all right, carriers. It's just someone who spreads the infection. It might be a vector. This is a carrier, an animal or insect that transmits disease. Here we can see a tick is a vector. Okay, we've talked about this. There is asepsis, means the absence of disease-producing microbes. So clean technique reduces the number of microbes. Surgical technique removes all microbes. Okay, here we have healthcare associated infection. This is when a person gets sick where they are getting healthcare. Okay, hand hygiene is the easiest and most important way to prevent the spread of infection. This is on the state exam. They're going to ask you, what is the best or the easiest or the most important way to prevent the spread of a microinfection? Is wash your hands. Disinfection, sterilization, bloodborne pathogen standard. This protects the health team from HIV, hepatitis B, and it's a regulation of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. And it's a law. You can look in your book, box 16.5. But it just says that all of these things need to be handled as if they are infected. Okay. Transmission-based precautions, also called isolation precautions. And this might be on the state exam. There are 3 types: contact, droplets, and airborne. So these are 3 ways that disease is spread. And you might need to wear PPE if you're caring for someone who has a droplet-based precaution or a contact-based precaution or airborne. But the sequence for how to put these on are also in your book. So you can review on page 246. Bagging items, leak-proof, labeled with biohazard. Sharps container. Needles and other sharps must go in a sharps container. It is puncture resistance. Okay, let's look at body mechanics. Okay, body mechanics, body alignment posture. So this is good posture. Base of support. You want to have your feet shoulder width apart. Rules for body mechanics. Wide base of support. So wide feet. Bend your legs, not your back. Use the large muscles. So use large, stronger muscles in your shoulders, upper arms, thighs, and hips. And keep objects close, but don't touch your body. You want to push, slide, or pull heavy objects rather than lifting. Pushing is easier than pulling. Use both hands and arms to lift, move, or carry objects. And turn your whole body to change directions. Do not twist. And get help from coworkers if you need to move persons or heavy objects. Okay. I'm going to go through some of these a little bit faster than others. This is important. We need to know that patients and residents should be repositioned at least every 2 hours. One way to write this is Q2H. All right, let's review the different bed positions. Fowler's position, supine position, prone position, lateral position, also called the side lying position, Sims position, and it's always on the left side. In the Sims position, the person is lying on the left side and the upper leg is flexed and the left arm is behind. Okay, protecting the skin. Friction. Friction is bad. Friction is the rubbing of one surface against the other. Shearing is also bad. It's when the skin sticks to a surface while muscles slide in the direction the body is moving. So you can see here on the picture, friction and shearing. When the body moves on the bed, you need to protect the skin. So roll the person, use friction reducing devices like a lift sheet or turning pad, mechanical lift, at least 2 people, and always follow instructions. Okay, moving the person to the side of the bed. One method, the person is moved in segments. So first move the upper part of the body and then the lower part of the body. Then move the legs and feet. And here we have a log roll. That's when you move the whole person in alignment in one motion. Okay, dangle. So you assist the person and residents to the side of the bed and let their feet dangle. Let their feet dangle before you move them. Okay, and then I'm going to give you some questions on this topic, and you can watch this over if it will help you to remember some of these vocabulary words. Infection prevention and body mechanics are going to be on the state exam. So make sure you understand and are familiar with all of these vocabulary words.